All righty, we are live. Apologies for being a few minutes late, everyone. We're back with insider betting. Jesse, appreciate you joining me today. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, man. I'm excited. This is I don't know if you followed the build up for UFC St. Louis, but it's been a lot of fun with Joaquin Buckley and Derrick Lewis and all those guys like throwing out ceremonial first pitches at the Cardinals game. It's been a lot of fun to watch. So I'm excited.
I'm excited for this one too. Usually fight nights are a little bit slower, and they're not as exciting. But with Derrick Lewis, Joaquin Buckley, those are going to be some great fights. But also we have Alonzo Manfield. We have Bellis as well.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really good fights on this one, so I'm really excited. But let's start with boxing.
Yeah, well, we have that on the screen. We haven't even mentioned it yet, so
exactly,
I guess that makes sense.
Exactly. So again, with boxing, we know how it goes. You know, it should be a fun fight, but there's always a heavy favorite, and in this case, it's Lomachenko. He's I believe minus 700 to win. And what was it? Plus 150 to go to decision.
So on the money line, Kambosos is plus 475. But on to win by decision, Vasiliy would be minus 175. So you're still losing. You're not gaining much, but you're if you don't think that Vasiliy has the power to KO Kambosos, then that's probably the way to bet this. At least that's the way I would. I think there's an argument to be made for Kambosos to win. You're getting really good value on him at plus 475. But I do think that most people would look at this fight and think, well, Loma got screwed. He probably beat Devin Haney. He got screwed on the scorecards. If you think he beat Devin Haney, then you should think he can beat George Kambosos. That's not a knock on George Kambosos. It's just I do still think, despite his loss to Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney is a very good fighter. So,
of course.
Yeah, I think Loma by minus 175 by decision at minus 175 is how I would bet this. I'll just be honest, I'm probably not putting any money down on this fight. I'm probably just going to stay away from it, but maybe I would throw that into a parlay. Would be the way I'd bet this one.
I agree. It might be an entertaining fight. I'd love to see a knockout. I don't think we'll see one. I do think it'll likely go to decision. But you're right. I also am not tossing any money on it. These fights can go, although there's a heavy favorite, they can go either way. And with the odds, it's just not lucrative enough to bet on, right? So
if you think there's a chance that Kambosos could win on a scorecard or two, a Vasiliy split decision win is a plus 600 on DraftKings. Just throwing that out there, which is pretty good. If you think there's a chance Kambosos can do enough, that's an interesting one. Totally. But yeah, that Vegas knows what's up, man. They're smart. Because the first thing I was thinking was go to decision, and that's the odds are heavily in favor of that. So,
yeah. Now Vegas is smart. It's the unfortunate thing, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well let's move on over to the UFC Fight Night in St. Louis. Very excited about it. We mentioned. If you're just joining us, by the way, we're going to run through the card. We'll probably touch on a couple prelims, but we'll mainly focus on the main card. If you got any comments, if you think we're wrong, please leave them in the comment section. We do read them as they come in. So, but yeah, let's start with Chase Hooper, because I think that's the most interesting fight on the prelims. And yeah, I'm excited to see him. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Sorry, if you guys see me staring down, I promise you're not losing my attention. I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking at all the odds on my phone. So we actually interviewed Chase Hooper. James Lynch interviewed him for us, and we talked to him about a week ago. This is a big step up for him. He's fighting. How do I pronounce this guy's name? Borchev? Is that how you pronounce it? I know he's good. Borchev is good.
Borchev.
This is the classic striker versus grappler matchup, and Hooper is definitely grappling heavy. He's a jiu-jitsu practitioner, so he needs this fight to go to the ground. I like Hooper a lot. I'm concerned about what happens when he gets hit and you're facing a striker. we still, it still remains to be seen. I think Hooper really needs to improve on his striking in order to really level up in the UFC. I think that he has a chance of getting this to the ground. What are the odds? What are they?
Hooper is plus 120 actually, and Borchev is minus 142. So Borchev is the favorite going into the fight. But I think with your breakdown there, you're right. Hooper needs to take it to the ground to have a chance at beating him. My only concern is that his takedown accuracy is only 22%. But with that being said, Borchev's takedown defense is only 36%. So there's still a chance. It's just that he has to be accurate. He has to be lethal with his takedown attempts to have a chance at this fight for him to win, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and if I'm gonna bet Hooper, I'm gonna bet him by submission or decision, because TKO just kind of feels like too much of a stretch. Getting some good odds, plus 300 to win by submission, plus 400 to win by decision. As much as I don't like to say it, I do think that Borchev by KO or TKO at plus 110 might be the most logical bet here. But I don't know. I have a feeling about Hooper. I have a feeling that, like you mentioned, the takedown defense, his takedown defense and his ground game might not be good enough to defend against Hooper and his jiu-jitsu. I think Hooper will get it done. I think I'm just caught between decision and submission. What do you think? I'm not sure. I'm caught between the two. I might go money line if I'm thinking that way.
Yeah, I would agree. I think money line's a good bet. I think that Hooper by knockout, submission, or DQ at plus 250 is a decent bet if you wanna stretch your money a little bit. But I'd probably stick to money line at plus 110. You're still getting favorable odds for Hooper there. So yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna bet on this one. I
don't love it.
No, I don't love it. I'd pick Hooper to win, I think, just because I like him. He's young. I think he's kind of growing into his like man body in a sense. He sounds pretty young. So I think it'll be an interesting one. I think this is one for him to kind of prove himself in a sense as well. But I'm keeping my money in my pocket with this one for sure.
I saw somebody comparing him to like Ryan Hall, who sort of fell into this pocket of this excellent grappler in the UFC, but who just couldn't he couldn't strike enough to survive to make like a deep run. Like Chase Hooper is going to make an incredible grappling coach one day, but he needs to really improve that striking. So I hope that we do see some improvements here, but I'm not going to put any money on this one either.
Yeah. I think the only way I do end up putting money on this is during the weigh-ins tomorrow. If I see that Hooper is looking absolutely massive, like if I look at Hooper and I think like he looks great, then I'd probably put money on him. If he's still coming in, I don't want to say scrawny, but if he's still coming in, a little bit smaller, then I might kind of avoid just betting as a whole. But I do think there's a good bet on Hooper there.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of let's bet on their physical traits. Let's just see, judge a book by its cover going in. If it looks like he had a bad weight cut, I'm out.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, on to the main card for the St. Louis card. So the first fight of the night is Waldo Cortez Aosta versus Bellis. I don't think I can pronounce his last name. It's like
Despain. I'm confused about it as well, but I just know that this dude's a fucking wrecking ball. That's all I know about this guy.
So crazy stats. Ready? Yeah. Bellis in his last 4 fights has fought a total, and this is all his fights combined for those 4 fights. He's fought for 37 seconds. He's got 2 KOs. So he's got 4 finishes. One that took 12 seconds, another took 18 seconds, and then one took 3, and another took 4 seconds. So the guy is a wrecking ball. The question is, can he catch him? Right? I don't think the fight's going the distance. He's undefeated in his last 5. He's actually only had 5 professional fights, and only one of them has been in the UFC. Keep that in mind. But he's still in minus 245. And this, I don't know if it'll toss him into the rankings just yet. He might sneak in. Yeah, if it's like very impressive, there's a chance, I think, but he still probably needs another fight to get in
no,
there.
Is Aosta ranked? If Acosta's not ranked, then he won't. He would have to be ranked.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Then no, he won't be. But he will if he wins this in style, like we hope he does in like the first minute, he will get a very nice matchup for his next one, I think.
Yeah, he's looking for a ranked fight for sure. If he this could get him a ranked fight if it's really impressive. I'm looking at DraftKings. So far, 93% of the bets have come in on Despain to win. Only 7% are coming in on Acosta. So right now at a minus 245 money line, that kind of feels like you're getting, as crazy as it sounds, you're kind of getting good odds considering how many bets are coming in on Despain right now. So either Vegas knows something about Acosta that I'm not aware of, or they just haven't. He's just still so fresh in the game that the odds are still somewhat favorable. I would hammer this now before like Friday or Saturday morning, because if the bets keep coming in like this, that's going to go from a minus 245 to a minus 300 very quickly. So I would bet on it now.
I agree.
And I'm looking at winning method. KO is for Despain, it's a minus 200 to win by KO. So if you want to, like you mentioned, all of his fights are in the first round. It kind of feels like betting him to win by a first round KO is the way to go. And Vegas is right on top of that too, because winning round one is a minus 135. So it's not a favorable one at all. Or I don't know if that's for Despain or for just in general. But this fight is heavily favored to end in the first round.
Yeah, if you go on Despain, winning by TKO or by KO or whatever in round one, it's a plus 120. So that becomes a little bit more attractive of a bet, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you want to get really, really fruity with it, you can go plus 450 for the fight to be won under a minute, which I think could be just like a fun little sprinkle bet if you ask me, considering how his last fights have gone.
Well, yeah, considering it's literally never happened before to go over a minute, it kind of feels like a lock. But this is the UFC. These guys are better. All it takes is just one takedown. We don't know what sort of takedown defense this guy has. All it takes is one takedown, and then he has to struggle to get back to his feet, and that bet goes out the window. But yeah, if he lands one punch, that's it. He's basically like he's going to be the next Ngannou if he keeps this up. So whatever happens, I'm super excited about this guy. I think he is an immortal lock to win this fight. It is heavyweight. Anything can happen. Gets caught once, it's over. But I think especially throwing him in a parlay, I think is a good idea. At these odds, throwing him in a parlay teaser, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. We'll get into parlay talks later on, but my if you're looking at some prop bets for this fight, ones that I like is Despain by KO minus 165, and then you can go under 0.5 rounds plus 250, or under 1.5 round is minus 238. So you have some decent odds all around.
You know, if you think there's a chance this fight gets into the second round, you're getting some pretty good odds to do it. Because I think if you bet that the fight gets to the second round, God, I had it round props. But if you think that he could win in round two, it's a plus 500, whereas it's a plus 100 if he wins in round one. Hey, if you think he can get there,
it's not bad.
Not bad at all. So just saying.
No,
but I'm going parlay. I just don't like when I haven't seen a guy enough, I guess is my problem. I just haven't seen him enough to make that sort of a calculation, I guess.
I agree. So moving on to the next fight.
Dangerous. He's scary. He's crazy good.
He's on track to be the next big thing in the UFC, but it's just like way too soon to say something like that because he's only fought one fight in the UFC.
I know.
Just the way his kind of lead up and how his professional fights have gone, the guy's a wrecking ball. So definitely keep it up for him. But moving on, the next fight on the main card, we have Alex Caceres, who's ranked 15, versus Sean Woodson, who's unranked. Caceres is 3 for 5 in his last fights, coming off of a loss. Sean Woodson is 4 for 5 in his last fights, and he's that one other fight is a draw. Very interesting fight. Sean Woodson is coming in as the favorite of this fight, but I believe this is a featherweight bout, correct?
I think so. Yeah. Who did he fought? God, I actually interviewed Sean Woodson, and I'm forgetting who he fought in his last fight. I'll have to pull it up. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, because Caceres is a featherweight. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, it is a featherweight bout. Sean Woodson fought versus Charles Jourdain.
That's what it was. Yeah, right.
Fellow Canadian.
That was the fight. By the way, that was the fight where it was in Canada. And Bruce Buffer announces Sean Woodson, but Charles Jourdain is French Canadian, so it sounded like Charles. And so they thought, the crowd thought, and Charles Jourdain thought that they were announcing Charles Jourdain, and he started celebrating, and then they had to inform him that it was actually Sean who had won.
Yes.
It was very funny. So I interviewed Sean Woodson about that. It was a close fight in his last one, but he did get it done. Look, I love Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy is like the all-time best name for Alex Caceres. It's an awesome name. 21-14 in MMA. So he's essentially just slightly above 500 fighter against a guy who's 11-1. And Woodson has some size for featherweight. I think at a minus 218, you're not getting great odds, but by decision, I think might be the way to go here. And for where the hell is it? Woodson by decision is a minus 140. Okay, so they see it the same way I do.
Yeah.
You're really not losing much by betting money line. Minus 140 by decision versus minus, what is it, 220 for 218 by money line. I think minus 218 money line is probably the way I would go.
Yeah.
Again, these fights, by the way, this card, I'm sorry, Adam, I'm talking over you.
No, go for it.
Tons of very close odds all across the card, which I think is really good matchmaking by the UFC. I think all of these fights are very close that I'm just not totally sure about.
Yeah, I agree. With this fight, Sean Woodson is kind of like a specimen in the featherweight division.
He's got a weird looking body. Have you never seen it?
Yeah, he does. He's also 6'2", which is very tall.
It's all upper body.
Yeah.
All upper body. He's got really long legs. It's very strange physique.
So, but with that height, having to come down to that weight, he's kind of losing a little bit. He's losing a little bit of meat on his legs, a little bit of meat on his upper body as well. So it does make him more prone to the striking, right? Especially the leg kicks, I think. But again, with this being a featherweight bout, I don't think it's a major concern for Sean. I also think that with him being so tall and awkward, he has an 84% takedown defense. And I think that Caceres is going to have to take him down to win this fight because I don't think he has box Sean. But I think with his with the weird body type, all he does is he kind of spreads his legs and you can't wrap your arms around him to take him down, right? So the awkward body type.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm getting an echo now.
Nope. Can you hear me?
Okay, we're good. Cool. He also uses his, I think it's when we talk at the same time, that's when I get the echo. He uses his leg kicks to really establish distance to keep range, to feel out which is really important, especially against a guy like Bruce Leroy, who's going to try to, kind of fight on the outside a little bit. 7 decisions out of his 11 wins. So he is a decision machine. But one important fact here, his nickname is the STL, the St. Louis Sniper, and they are fighting in St. Louis. So he does have home field advantage here. Very important. So he is one of the guys that's known for being a St. Louis guy. He's not losing in front of his home crowd. He ain't losing in front of them. So I think this is actually probably my lock besides Despain. If I were to take Despain out of it, this would be the guy I would bet on the most.
I agree. Considering we've seen a lot more of him than we've seen of Despain, I also agree he is a lock at minus 218. I also have the fight going a distance at minus 225. I think that's a lock as well. I as you said, he's a distance machine. He is a great boxer, but we just don't really see those crazy knockouts.
Crazy fact about this guy. Crazy fact about him. When he was boxing, He fought at heavyweight.
Crazy.
Yeah, he fought at heavyweight. So he was like in like the 240 range or 230 range or something like that. So he's like, you talked about his physique. He literally could get up to 220 if he wanted to, and he fights at 145.
Yeah,
crazy. So
you're gonna bully him. That's what's gonna happen.
It's a huge advantage, especially for a division like featherweight.
Yeah, and you can expect him after the weigh-in to bulk up a little bit. He's probably going to come in, maybe not significantly bigger, but he's going to come in bigger for sure, just with his body type, right? So
I imagine he's like 165 on fight night, around there.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but that should be a pretty entertaining fight, I'd say.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays out. But anyways, next up we got Diego Ferrera versus Mateus Rebecki. Ferrera is 2-5 in his last 5. He's coming off of a win, but he had 3 losses prior to that. While Rebecki is 5-5 in his last 5, and I think he's on a significant win streak. I could be wrong. He only has 1 loss as a pro, and he's 3-0 in the UFC. And Ferrera is almost 40, dude. He's 39, just turned 39, I think, beginning of this year. At minus 425, it's so hard to bet against him. He also has a 66% takedown defense and a 72% takedown accuracy. And while Ferrera is really good on his on the ground with his BJJ, he only has a takedown accuracy of 22%. So when you kind of mix in that accuracy with the defense, you probably don't see this fight going to the ground too much. But yeah, I take Rebecki. I also have under 2.5 rounds at minus 175 to give us a little bit of more favorable odds, I'd say.
Yeah, so just on like a surface level analysis of this, out of Ferrera's 18 wins, only 4 of them have come by knockout, 7 of them have come by submission, the other 7 have come by decision. So that suggests to me he's grappling heavy, he likes control time. And then the 3 times that he out of his 5 losses, he's lost 3 times by KO or TKO. He's never been submitted, but 2 of them by decisions. So this tells me not a good striker. Whereas Rebecki, 9 of his 19 wins, basically half of them have been by KO, and the other half have been by submissions or decisions.
Yeah,
I think this fight has knockout written all over it, or TKO written all over it.
I agree.
And if I'm looking at the odds here of winning method, Rebecki by KO or TKO is a plus. Sorry, that's a minus 280. Geez, see, I'm not onto anything that Vegas isn't onto already.
Vegas is good, eh?
But if you like it going, and I do like it maybe happening like late second round, if you like it going, not seeing a third round, I would say, do they have that here? Do they have?
Yeah, so that was the minus. That was the under 2.5 rounds that I was talking about at minus 175.
Well, to win by a finish, minus 135 for Rebecki, just to win by finish.
Great.
So that's a good one too.
Yeah, because that would have to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if I just took a minus 135 for him to win by decision, not betting on any specific round, I like that a lot because half of his wins are by submission too, which says to me he's got some ground game. So I like that one. Minus 135 win by submission, or I'm sorry, by finish.
Yeah.
No, this guy's striking is not good. Ferrera's striking is not good.
Agreed. All righty. This is where the juice comes in. If you're still tuning in, we're on to the final 3 fights of the main event for St. Louis. If you got any comments, let us know down below. But Alonzo Manfield versus Carlos Olberg. Olberg is on a 4-fight finish streak. The way this fight kind of plays out is that Manfield is the better martial artist in a sense, while Olberg is by far the better striker. However, we've just seen Manfield make a few mistakes in the past. And I think that if he can avoid making mistakes, he could very well win this fight as a plus 220 underdog. But it all comes down, I think, to the fight IQ and if Manfield can improve on his decision making from the past of what we've seen, But again, he's on a 4-fight, or he's 4-5 in his last 5. He's got a draw in there, so it will be an interesting fight. You're having 2 dogs go at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at photos of Carlos Olberg, and I'm just kind of terrified of the guy. New Zealand, a tribal warrior looking guy. 6 of his 9 wins by knockout. Does have a submission win. Has been knocked out before. And Manfield is a knockout artist. 10 of his 15 wins are by knockout. I'm looking at quality of win. Sorry, I'm getting a call here. Quality of win. He TKO'd Ihor Puteria, or sorry, Olberg did. TKO'd Ihor Puteria, which is a pretty good one.
He's on a 4-fight finish streak as well. Keep that in mind for Olberg.
Yeah. This is actually kind of close. What are the odds in this one?
Super close. Olberg is a significant favorite. He's -270. Manfield is +220 on the money line.
I think this might be the high value underdog pick for me because I don't. Manfield is 36, and he is a little bit older. But when you're in light heavyweight, it's still like you still have enough power where you just catch a guy once and it can change the outcome of a fight. I don't think that the grappling of Olberg is like that significant where it's going to give Manfield a lot of problems. This is a stand and bang affair for sure, and I think that you're going to see you're gonna see a finish in this fight. Whatever happens, I would bet on a finish. I haven't looked at that.
So that's what I have as well. I have the fight not going the distance, and that's -225.
Yeah. I think Olberg is going to win, but I mean, if you want some high value underdog, I think Manfield is like good enough to get the upset here, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happens. I think it would be early if it happens too, because I'm just thinking that Olberg will pick them apart over time, and then Manfield. So I think Manfield will have to get it done early, but I think it could happen if you're looking for an underdog pick on this card. I would say it's Manfield. That's how I would put it. If you're looking for somebody to put your underdog money on, I would take him. But I would throw not going the distance for this fight into a parlay. I think is my thinking here.
I agree. Yeah. As long as Manfield doesn't go head hunting, plays it calm, cool. I think he's gonna win. I think he can get that knockout. He's got that power.
So you got Manfield.
I do have Manfield. Yeah.
It's the best odds on the card. So
look, I think the reason he's such an underdog is just because we've seen him make those mistakes in the past. And I trust that he prepared properly for this fight. I trust that I trust that he knows he's made mistakes and that he's going to attempt to work through them. And that's kind of why I got my money on him. But anyway,
I like that.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, we're on to the final 2 picks of the St. Louis fight card this Saturday. Once we go through those final two fights, we're actually going to share our parlays for the night as well. So some free money for you guys. We've had a lot of luck over the past few weeks. So yeah, stay tuned for the rest of the analysis.
What did we do last week? I didn't look at the outcome of our parlay from last week. I forgot.
I have to go back and check it.
Yeah, because you made the bet. I didn't make it. So yeah. I had a good. I did have a good one. Who fought last week? Which card was it? It was 301. Oh, it was Lionheart Smith. I said that I think that Lionheart Smith was being kind of like disrespected, and it was a huge underdog. It was like a plus 500, and he got it done.
Yeah,
so shout out to Anthony Smith.
Yeah, we had Cody Goosh last time saying Anthony Smith is washed. I don't know if you remember that one.
Right. So, and I was saying that don't sell him short. He was like my high value underdog on that card.
Yeah. So we'll see how this plays out. But anyway,
yeah,
this is one of the fights I'm more excited for. I'd say Joaquin Buckley versus Ruzbeov. I know you're heavy on the EVOV last names, Jesse. He is a plus 110, while Buckley is a minus 130. To sum it up, I do have Buckley winning this one. They both fought less than a month ago, I believe. Buckley is also a St. Louis native, so he's got home court advantage. He actually at 301, I believe it was, or maybe no, it was UFC 300. At the end of the press conference, he asked Dana White to make him the main event. Dana kind of laughed it off and made him co-main. But that's okay. Rusbev is on a 10-fight win streak.
I'm seeing that,
which is really impressive. But, and don't quote me on this stat, I'm pretty sure. So Rusbev typically fights a weight class above, and he's coming down to 170. And he's got 8 losses on his record. And 7 of those 8 losses are when he came down to 170.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great stat.
Yeah. So that's a good one to keep in mind. That really is like my main reason for picking Buckley over Rusbev. But I also like over 1.5 rounds. I think we'll get to see the first round. I think it's going to get to the second round. And potentially even the third. So yeah, those are kind of my picks for that fight.
20 submission wins for Rusbev out of his 34 wins. Man, he has a lot of fights for being only 30 years old. Guy has a lot of fights. He's 42 fights, 44 fights, 46 fights, looks like. Oh my God.
Yeah. But only 2 in the UFC, I believe. Keep that in mind.
And I do have my long-standing bet of never betting against an EV or an OV at the end of a last name. So that is an important factor here. So I will be betting on Rusbev. However, that point that you made about him going down in weight and losing the majority of his fights, or the majority of his losses being when he goes down in weight, is an interesting one because Buckley has looked great since moving down to 170 from middleweight. He's 3-0. He's looked great. I believe all 3 of his fights have been by finishes since, No, he had a unanimous decision win against Alex Morono. So Buckley finishes a lot of his fights. 13 of his 18 wins are by KO or knockout. Does not have a lot of grappling. I'm concerned about Buckley being able to grapple with this guy. And I have a feeling, even though he's fighting in front of his home crowd in St. Louis and he lobbied to get on this card, this feels like a tough matchup for me, man. I don't know. I just feel like Buckley's going to have a tough time here if this fight gets to the ground. EV last name. 20 out of his 34 wins are by submission. I would bet on Rusbev. I haven't even looked at the odds. Rusbev by submission. I'm imagining that the odds are pretty favorable there. Like, I mean, Vegas is already on top of it, And if I'm looking at it, you know what? Plus 450 Rusbev by submission or a plus 330 by KO or TKO feels pretty damn good to me, if I'm being honest. And I like Buckley a lot. But if I were to win by finish, Rusbev to win by knockout, submission, or DQ is a plus 175. That's my bet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm Joaquin Buckley fans. I get it, but
hey, man, sometimes we got to go split decision on our end. You're good.
Is it any better with the feedback?
Might be. We'll see how it plays out. I'll keep you updated there. Anyways, final card of the night, or final fight of the night. Sorry, the main event: Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Derrick Lewis has been on a heater of losses. He's lost 4 of his last 5, I believe, coming off of a loss as well, while Nascimento is on a 3-fight win streak. Before that, he had a no contest, and before that, he had a loss. So he's 3 for 5. Now, Lewis has more KOs than anyone in the UFC. We've seen him go 5 rounds. We know he can do it. I do think that for him to win this one, he will have to get an early finish. I think Nascimento needs to wrestle to win. I don't know if he has the same power as Lewis does. I don't think he can KO him. So I think wrestling is the way to go. I also don't know. I don't think Lewis's ground game is that strong. But at the same time, Nascimento only has a 33% takedown accuracy, while Lewis has a 53% takedown defense. So not great on either part. I think he's going to go to the ground a couple times. I just don't know if he's going to finish him on the ground. We were texting before this, and I sent you my picks, and I had Nascimento winning. And then I kind of flipped back on Lewis. So I really do think this is a 50-50 fight. I don't think I'm going to bet on it. But if I do bet, I'd probably bet on Derrick Lewis winning by KO. That'd be a nice safe bet. I just don't know the exact odds on that, but I don't think they're the greatest. So it might just not be worth it.
Well, I think he needs to win by KO if he's going to win. It's a 5-round fight. They're really not doing Derrick Lewis any favors here. He literally just had to fight Jailton Almeida in Brazil, who's a grappler. He's basically the Brazilian heavyweight Khabib, is what they call him. Heavy grappler. And it was 5 rounds of Derrick Lewis being laid down on top of, basically, of Almeida just laying on top of Lewis, not doing anything with it. But Derrick Lewis, you mentioned his takedown defense. You want to know why that is? What he says about jiu-jitsu? His takedown defense? You just get back up, man. That's all you got to do. You just get back up. Stay on a steady diet of Popeyes, and you get back up. And, man, I bet they got some good Popeyes in St. Louis. So I love Derrick Lewis, man. 8 submission wins for Rodrigo Nascimento out of his 11 wins. He's 11-1, 3 decisions, 2 KOs. This guy's a grappler. It's basically like he's fighting Jailton Almeida again, but he is nowhere near the grappler that Jailton Almeida is. So I think Lewis has to win by KO, basically.
Yeah.
And I think Lewis will do it as well. He's a -162 in front of the St. Louis crowd. I think Derrick Lewis needs a moment. I still think that he has some left in the tank. I like Lewis. I just think he's a born star. The guy just, like, the crowd's going to love him. They're going to be behind him. He's not going to give up when he gets taken down, which he will. But Derrick Lewis getting like a 2nd or 3rd round KO, I could see it happening. Maybe he'll throw another flying knee.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, but he's got to stay off the ground here, because he was gassed out at the end of that last fight against Almeida, and it was such a boring fight. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. I just wish they gave him a better matchup. I hate that they matched him up against a guy that basically has the exact same style as Almeida. That bothers me. Give him a strike. Give Derrick Lewis a striker matchup. He deserves it.
We'd love to see it. It. Anyway, that sums up our decisions for the fight card, but stay tuned. We are going to go over our parlays right now. So, Jesse, I don't know, did you get a chance to make a graphic? We're pulling it up today.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and start. So this is your parlay of the night. Oh, unfortunately, I didn't put any windows in it, of course, but here you go. So go ahead. You can break it down.
That's okay. So I got a 4-leg parlay. I have Cortez Acosta and the Spain going under 1.5 rounds at -238. Like we mentioned, this Spain has only fought for 37 seconds total in his last 4 fights. The guy finishes people in the first minute. I just need him to finish to get a first-round finish here, which I think is going to happen. Caceres versus Woodson. It's a featherweight bout. We're not going to see a knockout. We're probably not going to see a submission as well. It's going to go to the distance. We're -225 here. Our 3rd leg of the parlay is Ferrera versus Rebecca. This fight just not going to go the distance. We're probably going to see a KO here, maybe a sub. Rebecca's probably going to take it, but I don't want to bet on a specific person. And our 4th and final leg is Buckley versus Ruzbeov, going over 1.5 rounds at -140. You have a +407 total. $100 brings you 500 back. I think it's good odds. I think it's a very safe parlay if you're trying to make some money. But yeah, Jesse, what are your thoughts on the parlay? Do you agree, disagree with anything here?
No, I think you're on, and I think very smart of you to go with favorites on a parlay. I think a lot of people make this mistake when gambling a lot, and they make their parlays, and you want to make as much money as you can. So you get really enticed by, you have your, I really like this underdog pick. right? And they want to throw it into the parlay because that spices up the odds on the parlay. Look, you might hit on one of those every now and then, but long term, it's just not going to be a good financial solution. It's just really not. If you were to make this sort of bet where you take favorites like that, favorited odds on parlays, the way Adam has put together, as opposed to trying to mix in like an underdog here and there, you're gonna win more money long term than you are. I know it's not as exciting. I know it's not as like exhilarating, like when you win that 100x lineup or whatever it is, but you're gonna make more money long term doing it this way. Or the way I would put it is you're going to lose less money long term doing it this way is what I should say. So I think that's the way to go. So I like it. I think it's smart. I think it's like just a safe way, not going too crazy with it.
I agree. I also think there's a lot of like flips, right? Like we said, these are very close matchups, a lot of very tight odds. Obviously, there's some heavy favorites as well. But I really like picking the over under for rounds and stuff like that. I think that's how you really can make a lot of money gambling. But yeah, anyway, I know you put together a little parlay as well, Jesse. What do you have in mind?
No, I didn't put together a parlay. I was just doing my winners. I'm sorry, I have it. So I'll just give you my winners here. Lewis, Ruziboev. I only took 4. Where else? Just Spain I threw in there because 240 minus 240 my 5 on the money line just felt like you got to hammer this now. It's going to be minus 300 by tomorrow probably. And then Sean Woodson, who was my lock. And if you put those together, which are all favorites as well, unfortunately, my picks cannot be parlayed. Oh, I threw in Terrence McKinney as well on accident. Hold on. What's going on here? Why am I not able to? Something's wrong with my bet here. Oh.
Who did you have? Repeat it real quick.
So no, I got it here. I'm betting Derrick Lewis. I'm betting Ruziboev, I'm betting Despain, and I'm betting Woodson, all money line. And that is a plus 597. So if you bet 100, you win $697.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are all just money line picks too. Sometimes I just like, those are the fights that I'm most confident in. Yeah. And well, let me put it this way. I'm tempted to, out of all of them, I'm tempted to take Derrick Lewis out.
Derrick Lewis, it really is a 50-50 fight. I'm probably not going to toss any money on it.
And if I did, it would be closer to yours where it's a plus 331 and you would 100, it would win 431. So
that's not bad. That's not bad.
Awesome. So,
good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you joining me on another Insider Betting. Guys, we're back every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Join us, toss your questions. We're going to make you some money. So appreciate you joining me, Jesse. Till next week, brother. Till next week.
Appreciate you, brother. And good luck.
Appreciate it.